welcome to everybody. Open mic night. I got us gussied up on open mic night and made a dang a slide thing
Love
and
slides.
PowerPoint. And we're not going to do any presentations. We're just guys. I didn't want to forget what points we needed to go over. Last week we had an old notepad thing and it looked so terrible. I'm like, oh, I ain't doing that notepad thing again. So we got this. I've been writing a couple of articles on prior client marketing today about all the different aspects about cross-selling and doing a variety of things with your prior clients. And, I just keep coming up with ideas, more and more things about what we can do and how we can do it. But I want to just get right in here to this because this is an open discussion. This is no presentation. But, people ask me all the time, well, Ken, how come we're putting a focus on prior client marketing? And I said, those people don't know me because I've always put a full court press on prior client marketing. And at Southern Home Inspection Services, we got about a third of our business, a little bit more than a third each year from prior clients. So they're a very important component to us. And one of the articles I was working on today was how much less expensive it is. It looks like it's 5 times less expensive to secure business and market your prior client than it is to acquire a new client. And look how many of us chase business. You know what I'm saying? Anybody do that? Is Keith, you still on here? You
I'm
get
here.
out there and chase business, new business, and then what happens? Maybe you talk to your prior clients, maybe you don't.
I mean,
So
for us. I mean, it's an endless hustle to just chase down business. Especially, historically we've always worked with agents, right? So you're always running down the agents trying to get their attention. They don't want to talk to you. So prior clients, I mean, especially if you make them a big fan, a brand fan, it's not as much work.
oh, it's a lot less work, no kidding, and it's got benefits. So when people ask me all the time, we talk about Sitzer Burnett, and I'm not going to spend any time on it, but Sitzer Burnett, you guys know on August 17th, the rules have changed, and the buyer's commission is now going to be automatically included into the seller's commission. So the seller is no longer going to be not going to have to pay the buyer's commission. So the buyer's agent now has to get an agreement with each individual buyer, an exclusive agreement that says, I'm going to show you houses and you're going to pay me this amount of commission when it sells. And so after the 17th, that's going to be a tough thing because we've already determined that not many home buyers are in a position to fork out $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 in commission for a buyer's agent. So we'll see how that all rolls out. But buyers agents, to a certain degree, are already leaving the market, and it's because of interest rates and lack of inventory and for sale and a bunch of other things. But this will facilitate it. So Sitzer Burnett means we got to do something different. We got to replace those leads that we didn't have because buyers agents are going away. So this is why we're talking about the strategy today. So when I say why prior clients, I just kind of jotted down some notes. I would just want to talk about each of these points as we go through. I got 2 or 3 of them. Referrals. Okay, how many people have ever gotten a referral from their prior client?
I have.
Yep,
I
I
have.
have
I have
gotten tons. Gazelle, you
all the
have?
time. I
All the
have all
time.
the time. Yeah.
And you made them brand fans and they're getting a deal. So anybody want to volunteer just what percentage of their business annually they think comes from prior client referrals? Anybody just want to guess? You should be tracking it. You should know that number right off the top of your head.
About 30%.
That's great, Keith. That
Good.
is awesome. That's big. Now I've had one-man shops been 80%. So, that's easier as a one-man shop. As a multi-inspector firm, it's a little bit more complicated because there's a lot of people involved. So, Gazelle, any idea off the top of your head what percentage of your referrals come from prior clients?
Probably 2%.
Okay. So here's a number. No matter what your number is, there's your base, right? I mean, so just know your number. So after tonight, I want you to go look up what you did in 2023 and write that down. And then I want you to look at what you've done for the first half of 24 and write that down. So it doesn't matter to me what the number is because we're going to help you just go one way. That's up. Okay. Whether you got 30% or 2%, don't matter to me. We're going to engage these rascals and get some more business from them. And we're going to talk about strategies, how to do it, this, that, and the other, but that's it. So who else? Ricky, any idea about yourself? What numbers that you're getting from prior clients? Maybe Ricky's gone a minute to grab him a bite. We'll come back to him. Bob, how about yourself? Any idea?
I would say maybe about 10%. That might
Fantastic.
be a little high, but like right around 1 out of every 10 is probably a referral from a previous client of mine.
Great. Now, Bob, are you a one-man shop or a multi?
Just me.
Oh, that's good. Ain't nothing wrong with that. So a lot of times it's easier for a one-man shop to get good quality referrals, but it's also somewhat awkward to ask for them. And that's one of the articles I was writing today about. A lot of times I hear home inspectors say over the last 20 something years I've been doing this, they'll say, it just feels weird, awkward, to ask for a referral. I just did the inspection and asked for a referral. But what happens is we talk about in some of the articles that you'll see on our different websites that we have about what to do and how to do it. But I think if you just get over it, then what happens is you'll be a real happy in the wallet.
Good.
So that'll be good. So write that number down, Bob, and then we'll say where we're going to go from there. So that's good. Sam, how about yourself? Any idea what your number is?
I'm around 15%.
That's great. That's fantastic. So, Sam, are you engaged actually in doing prior client marketing, or the clients just love you and they just keep calling you back?
That they
Okay.
they like the job we did and they recommend us.
Okay. Now, Sam, are you a one-man shop or a multi?
Multi.
Okay. And how many inspectors do you have?
We have 2 full-time septic system inspectors,
Uh-huh.
4 full-time home inspectors, 1 and a few part-time. Actually, we have 2 full-time helpers for the septic inspectors, and we have 2 part-time people
Gotcha.
that work per diem when we need them.
So that's that really 15% is a really nice number to have a multi-inspector firm. A lot of times when you have employees, and I don't know how they're structured financially and all that, but a lot of times when you have employees, they don't do necessarily the asking like the owner will. As the owner, you'll ask for referrals. You'll ask for, for additional business. Hey, I always say, I know that you enjoyed the job that I did for you here today because you told me so. And what I'd love for you to do is share the word, because our business grows by wonderful people like yourself. And if you share our name with your family and friends, then what happens is that helps us continue on. And they do it.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the only way we did it. But so sometimes when you have to talk with the employees, it's not as easy to get them to have the same motivation you do as the owner.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Now, Ricky, any idea what percentage of the referrals you get from prior clients?
It's not much. I mean, it happens from time to time, but
Okay.
I mean, I never marketed to them until I started up with you guys. So,
Okay. So even if you
Yeah.
got 1 or 2%, that's what I said to Gazelle. Don't worry about whatever the number is. Just record what the number is, because we're going to work on going up from there. We want to see incremental improvement. So we'll make that happen. That's easy enough. So whatever your number is, just write it down. And then we're going to go over there and take a look at some things. Okay. So one of the other things is getting reviews from them. Any idea how many, what percentage of reviews you got? And Keith, we'll pick on you because you're fuzzy and I can't see you, but you're flashing on my screen.
Reviews.
What percent do you think of the clients that you guys do? And I know that you're not a single man, you're a multi there in Louisiana. What kind of percentage do you get on reviews, percentage wise, of the inspections you do? What percent give you a review?
It's tough to get reviews. I mean, for a while we were getting a bunch of them, and all of a sudden it kind of dropped off, and just I guess they're just too busy, Ken. So we thought about doing the code on the back of our iPads and maybe getting a review right there on site. They just, I don't know. I mean, we send them the emails, we touch them and trying to get them. It looks like, and honestly, we get more reviews through the Porch app than we do on our Google My Business app.
And Keith, why do you think that
kind of
is?
strange.
Why do you think that is, though? I mean, there's a reason for it. I know the reason.
Don't know. I don't know. We asked the client, to give us a Google review, and we're going to send you a link, and you can, give us a review. But man, we're getting more on the Porch app than we do on our regular, Yelp
Sure.
or Google My Business.
Yeah, Porch is a really consistent worker. They have a system set up to collect reviews for clients. So it's part of their system that does it. I want to ask Keith, what percentage of the clients do you serve there in Louisiana that are baby boomers?
Oh, I mean, probably out of my buyers, I would say probably 70 to 80% are baby boomers.
How about the other, Sam? How about you? And are you serving baby boomers majority, or are you doing Gen Z, millennials?
You know what, as far as boomers go, I did 2 of them today. I don't know percentage wise, but we do have, some boomers, a lot of millennials,
Okay.
and some Gen Zers.
Okay.
I would personally say we're probably inverse of Keith. We're probably 65 to 70% millennials. And that number seems to be growing.
I want to rephrase that on that, Brandon. I think I'm with you the same way. I kind of mixed up the ages right there. We're doing more younger buyers than we do older. The older ones look like they're going to the 1.3, $1.5 million houses. That's what we've noticed lately. They're just getting a larger home, which is kind of strange. It looks like you kind of be downsizing at that time.
I know that's right. Kip McCullough, is that you, man? I haven't seen Kip in a month or two.
It sure is. Ken, how you doing?
I am doing fantastic, sir. It's fantastic to see you.
Yeah, it's great seeing you too.
Kip,
Hey, Beth.
Yeah,
Kip
Beth's on
must
here
have gotten one of my emails.
I did. I was like, hey,
she
I need to
spams
check
you,
this
Kip.
out.
Yeah, that's awesome. We're glad
Good
to have
seeing
you on
you
the
guys.
call. Good to see you, sir.
Kip.
So I guess the thing about the reason why I asked you what your percentage was, because baby boomers are the hardest ones to get referrals, reviews from. And I just got an article I just wrote about strategies that you can use to try to get reviews from baby boomers. Now, millennials and Gen Zs, millennials for sure. One of the things about it is they will definitely give you more reviews. One of the things we look at the psychological aspects of the millennial buyers, that they want to help you co-create your brand. Okay, so they will give you honest feedback. And this is where part of what we do from prior clients, why wouldn't we take their feedback and improve our service? Because we want to serve who's buying the homes. But what happens is when they write a review, and if you don't respond to it, they're offended by that, because they felt like that they took their time to help you co-create your brand. And when I say co-create your brand, what I really mean is make improvements on your brand. And then what happens, you don't respond to that, they don't appreciate it. So we'll be talking about how to secure reviews from different age groups of clients. And it's quite different for each age group. So we'll be working on that. But so the 2 things right now that I want you to do for yourself is to write down what percentage of your business comes from prior client referrals. That's number 1. What percentage of your business comes from prior client referrals? And then what percentage of the clients that you actually do home inspections for that you get reviews from? Because once we know the actual number, the percent, then we can start putting strategies in place to make it happen, right, Brandon? I mean, that's what you've done. I mean, and other clients that we've had that are very good at this, they understand what their numbers are and then they act on them. And you have a system. I mean, that's like Porch.
Yeah, you're talking about reviews, right?
Either one, prior clients and reviews.
Yeah, I would say we're probably right now in terms of reviews, probably 45-50%. Some weeks it's a little higher, but I was sitting down with a kind of a top producer, team lead, agent this week, talking about this specific topic, because he was trying to figure out how can his team get more reviews on their Google page. And so he came to me asking for it, because I think this last week or so we hit 600 reviews. And I told him it's intentional. You got to put some thought into it. You got to put the time in and create a system for it and then do it consistently. It takes me an hour or two a week. And through that, we can probably convert, like I said, 45-50% of our inspections into 5-star reviews.
And I think sometimes home inspectors are worried about they're going to annoy their prior clients. Well, I mean, hell, if you're not marketing them anyway, what's the worry?
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter, there are ways to engage your prior clients in which it's not annoying. But one of the ways to really explain it to them there at the inspection, at the end when they wrap up, and Keith, I agree with you. I don't know if a QR code is the right way to do it. Certainly, I wouldn't throw that off. But before the internet really came about and we were doing reviews, I started off, I said to Beth, I'm going to get this little postcard. And it said, give us a review, whatever. And what I found was they flipped a postcard over and continued to write all of this stuff on the back. So then we got one that was 12 inches long, put a ruler on the side and said, how'd we measure up? And then what they did was they filled that up. Okay. And then what we would do is we would photocopy the review, keep it for our file, send the original to the agent and said, here's what your client thought. So the time to get reviews, if you can get them, is right there on the spot. Because think about this, you probably purchased something from a merchant, you liked them, they had good customer service, they requested a review from you, you saw it in your email box, and you said the infamous, I'll get around to it. The old round to it. And you know what happens is you never get round to it, do you? Okay, it's not that you didn't like them, it's not you didn't like their service, the product was excellent, this, that, and the other. Like today, I used this company called Proline for some gun magazines. I had never used them before. They sent me 3 gun magazines. There were supposed to be 20 rounds a piece. They were 17. So when they sent me a note that said, how did we do? I said, your service was great. Your product was great. The price was fair. But guess what? These magazines are 17 rounds and not 20. And they said, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. What we're going to do is overnight you some new ones tonight. You'll have them tomorrow. Now, there is great service. When I get those gun magazines, I'm going to stop and make a big, nice 5-star review for it.
Mhm.
But if they hadn't asked me how I was doing, I might have just stewed on that, not sent them back. But then, boy, if somebody else had said something, I might have written a negative review. So following up with your customers and finding out is really an important thing. So 2 things. What percentage of your business comes from prior clients and what percentage of reviews do you get from your clients? Okay. So how about this, strengthening your client relationships? How many of you ever provide the client anything after the fact? And I'm going to pick on Sam because he's right there in my screen. Sam, do you guys at 15%, do you guys send stuff to the clients after the fact as part of your marketing effort? Maybe a newsletter, but how about other things? How about some kind of guides or checklists or videos on how to maintain their home? Any of that kind of thing, do you send them? You're muted.
You're muted. Sam.
Yeah, there he goes.
We're actually in the process of setting that up now. So, we have someone that we hired as an admin and, a jack of all, whatever.
Sure.
And one of the things that he's going to be doing is, marketing to past clients and calling. We're thinking of calling the real estate agent within 24 hours to see how the inspection went, just to say, hey, how did we do? Did you like how we presented the information? What did the client say? Just to show them that we care, So
Very good move.
That, and we're also thinking of doing it with the clients as well.
Yeah, I like both of them. We certainly did it. We actually would call up the listing agent as well and say, hey, the report should be on your desk quickly. The fact of the matter is, we turned everything off and went back and, we handled all the details. And the fact of the matter is, if we can help you in the future, we'd love to. And that was just it. Usually we'd left a voicemail. We could bypass their phone and just leave them that quick voicemail. We did a lot of other things, but how many of your home inspectors, whether you're one-man shop or not, make home maintenance videos when you're out there? How many have you seen the trees and limbs are on the roof, or they're hanging over the gutter, or the downspouts on the gutter terminate right there at the base of the house, and they have a basement or crawl space? Anybody shooting videos of those things down?
Yeah, we've got a couple guys that do a decent job at that. maybe not necessarily a maintenance, but it's, you know, a kind of an inspection tip or a finding that we find. And so that can be used as, you know, marketing video, obviously, but, you know, putting together kind of a program of maintaining your home and then being able to use that as part of a campaign to your prior clients would be an added value.
Anybody else doing anything like that?
We do, but we're not very consistent with it. But
Okay.
that's one of the reasons that this gentleman that we hired is going to be taking care of stuff like that.
Sure. One of the things we did, now we had 13 home inspectors going full-time, 5 full-time schedulers and support staff. So what we did was we constantly had videos. We had a new construction group, residential resale, and Eve, so 3 divisions of our company. And what happened was that we would get videos in from each one of them, but like we would do videos on air conditioners. We'd see crazy things in the field and we'd say, this is how you need to do it. But we would do home maintenance videos because think about this. Once you get finished acquiring a client, they don't want to see your sales material. So you have to ask yourself, what is it they do want to see from you? How is it we could build and maintain a relationship with these people? Our beautiful, wonderful prior clients, they know us, like us, and trust us. So how can we do that? And home maintenance videos are great. And what you can do is not only send them in your newsletter or however you want to send them, but if you can get them to subscribe to your YouTube channel by saying, hey, if you like more great videos like this in your newsletter, why don't you go and subscribe to our YouTube channel? Here's a link. And then every time we produce a new home maintenance video, you'll get notified. Yeah. Okay. So then it becomes a system. You don't have to make sure that you do it, but I would be using my newsletter, different tips. And let's say you live in a snowy area. Maybe there's some tips that people need to know. And here in South Florida, I mean, we don't really need to have much snow. So, you know, we'd be sending out different types of tips, storm preparedness, or, you know, how to get you ready for a house ready for a storm or whatever. But everybody sees these maintenance things and we're out there. Just take your cell phone and just go out there and, hey, this is Ken. And, you know, today I'm going to be showing you something that's a common problem I see on all homes. It's these gutter downspouts that are terminating at the base of the home. And if you've got a crawl space or a basement, guess what? A lot of that water can penetrate inside and cause you big issues. So what you need to do about this is take an extension, put on that gutter downspout and terminate that water away from the foundation. Hey, this is Ken at Southern Home. For more great tips like that, go to YouTube and subscribe to our channel. How easy was that? I just said it to you right off the top of my head. Okay, so you know, so that's what you need to do. But how about this? How about you go in and inspect a house and you walk around and there's some crappy stuff going on the siding and the windows on a place where the homeowner never goes, do they? They never take the home inspection walk around the house annually, do they? They go in the garage or the front door and they never go any further. Now they might go out on the deck or patio, but they don't go any further. So there's always 1 or 2 sides of the house they never see. Okay, they don't go there. Okay, so how about a little maintenance checklist? So here's the things we want you to check on monthly, annually, and quarterly. And they can it's got branded to your company name, got your phone number on it. If you got a question about any of these items, when you see them, call us up. Okay, let's try to build some relationships. We want to turn these acquaintances into friends. You know, Keith, we always say to him, if you prior clients will come over to a crawfish bowl and bring a friend when you have one, you've turned a prior client into a friend.
Absolutely.
So that's really what we're trying to do. I mean, think about all of the things. I mean, think about millennials and Gen Zs have no experience in maintenance of a home.
Yeah, another
You're
idea.
their resource. Go ahead,
We
Brad.
talked we talked last week about, you know, some direct mail type of marketing to prior clients, right? Like just going on this checklist, you know, that could be kind of a closing gift type of thing in this scenario where if you had a nice printed out checklist potentially that you could, you know, mail to their home, that they kind of keep around, maybe even like just throwing out ideas that are coming to me, like a refrigerator magnet or something like that. It kind of stays up front of mind. So, you know, maybe they're not going to be the ones buying a house here soon, but maybe they got a buddy or a neighbor, you know, that wants to buy a house. Then you're looking for a referral at that point.
Yeah, that's why we want to become a brand fan. One of the things we always did, we had a jar opener. As you get older, man, it's hard to open these jars. And it said, I had a cool little slogan with our company name on it. I can't recall what the slogan was, but it was cool at the moment. But the fact of the matter is, I mean, I used that jar opener until the thing wore out. And the clients loved it and all that. So little leave behinds like that. But I guess what happens is when we digitally distribute things, the price is low, but the perceived value from the recipient is high. Because if you've got a branded checklist and then you remind them, hey, it's time to check this or that, then what happens is it's great. For instance, in our house, we have a whole house water filter we had installed when we moved here. And if the home inspector put that down in his report and he saw when it had been serviced, he could have sent me a little email and said, hey, have you thought about replacing the filters in your filter? It's that time of the year. Okay, so we can start collecting some additional information. So let me say this to you. When buyer's agents go away, when they go away, you are going to have to move from home inspector to property consultant. I want you to do that. Okay. It will open up new streams of revenue for us like you have never seen. I am so thrilled about this change. Okay. But what happens is we have to step outside what we've normally done to make these things happen. We have to be the go-to person, not the buyer's agent, because they won't be there. We need to be answering their questions. I know we're working with Brandon right now, building a list of people in the community that he can refer to. Brandon gave a great example about when they moved here, he needed a pediatrician. Well, he didn't know anybody. So what if somebody had a list what if his home inspector had a list that had pediatricians on there? Okay, or whatever, you're going to have to move that. We're going to have to build our own sphere of influence to be able to replace the buyer's agents. Okay, so prior clients is just one of the strategies. They need to rely on you for all different kinds of things that they've never relied on you before because the agent did it.
Yeah.
And make no mistake, we're in market disruption in the real estate industry, which is I love. I'm all about that. Okay, so checklists, guides, any kind of thing you want to do, and when you notice things there, jot it down, put it in your CRM, so you get a note to send it to them. Okay, but maintenance home. But I'm telling you, home maintenance videos. One of the things I really love about them, you produce them once and you benefit from them over and over.
Mhm.
It's not something you have to do again and again and again. In Georgia, one of the things we had a lot of soft pine wood. The trees grew straight and they grew fast, but they didn't grow hard. Okay, and so what happens when they build these windows out of them? People got their window screens on because a lot of people in Georgia don't open their windows. Well, when their window screens are on, they act as a dam. That water stands on that windowsill. And when the paint checks, that water rots that windowsill. So I produced a video about how to prevent wood rot on the sill of your window. When you go in a neighborhood, you see it everywhere. Okay, so just the things that you see every day and write the report about it, you have to ask yourself, does it lend itself to a great little video? If the video is more than 1 minute 37 seconds, you got too much material. Break it into 2 videos. Okay, so videos you work once benefit over and over, and you can do them. Our good friend Malcolm Godwin, our client forever, one of the things, he's very good at videos. I mean, he does a video introduction of the inspector that's going out there so that the client knows who to expect, and he sets the expectation of a 5-star experience from the very beginning. So lots of good things. He wants to build that prior client relationship to get it. So just here's one of many ways. I mean, I just selected 2 off a whole list of an article I was writing. Let me move this silly thing, this floating device. Okay, anybody have a VIP loyalty program for referrals for the clients? Okay, that's something that really is a big thing. I'm not saying you give money or anything like that, but you have a little loyalty program. And I read an article recently about it. Hadn't been published yet on one of our blogs, but it will be in the next week or 10 days. And it's about the things that we can do to build a loyalty program. Okay, a lot of companies have loyalty programs. All right, why don't we? Okay, so the rewards can be all kinds of little different things. You refer somebody, something happens, you refer 3 people, something happens. And what you have to do is set up a system. Okay, so one of the things you're going to need is a CRM, a client relationship manager. I call it a PRM, personal relationship manager. That's what I use it for. I don't look at my clients as clients. I look at them as personal people. These are people that are very important to me. Okay, so I use a PRM instead of a CRM, but the one we use, it's cheap and it works fabulous. It's got no big marketing automation. Is Less Annoying CRM, called Less Annoying CRM. So you ought to take a look at it. I get nothing from it. It's a fabulous little program. It's inexpensive. One of the things that annoyed me about the rest of them, they had all this marketing automation on the front end. We didn't need it. We didn't want it. And hell, we didn't know how to use it. And it just got in the way of using it. So the guys that developed this program said the same thing. They felt the same way. So getting a PRM through that is really a great thing. Lisa, how are you doing tonight? I didn't see you. You were way down the list on my video screen.
I'm doing good, thanks.
Good. I am so glad to have you on the call tonight. We're glad to have you. Okay, so a VIP loyalty program. That's just two couple of ways there. So you can think about that, getting that going. Let's see what else I got on this crazy thing. Again, this wasn't anything but talking points. Okay, here's a couple ways. I didn't remember what I put on here. Design an attractive incentive structure, and then implement a referral process that's simple and easy. Okay, so if you got to jump through 10 hoops to get the reward, are you going to do it?
No.
I mean, I'm not going to do it. Your clients aren't going to do it. You know, they're going to be annoyed with you. Okay, so it's got to be something simple. If this, then this. Okay, so then what happens is you have to design something that's super attractive. Now, does it have to be money? It doesn't. Okay, can it be any kind of digital gift? Could it be something that they value as a digital gift? Of course it could be. So we'll have a whole bunch of ideas for you coming up in the article that you can just take and implement or embrace if you want to, but don't be held back by us. You think of things that would be attractive to your client in your market. Remember, it needs to be low cost to you and perceived high value by the recipient. So if your prior client perceives value from what you give them, perfect. Okay, but you can't go out there and give away $100 gifts on a $400 inspection. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Somehow the numbers ain't working on that. Our CFO would be beside himself, you know, so you can't do it. So what can we do digitally? But you think about this, you know, when you start thinking about, and this is way more complicated than I wanted to get tonight, but I want to have this discussion. What's the lifetime value of a referral source? Okay, the lifetime value of a referral source, from what I hear some of you guys saying, are pretty low right now because you're not leveraging the relationship you've already built with them to get additional business. Okay, but let's say Keith is getting 30%. Okay, so let's take his 30%. What's the lifetime value of a referral source for Keith? What if they give him one inspection a year? Okay, what if they give him two? Okay. So you start saying if they do that for 5 years, that's a lot of inspections. And when he has hundreds and hundreds of clients, that's it. I mean, we did over 35,000 inspections before I sold our firm. Okay, that's a lot of people giving us a lot of business. So our goal is really to do this. Our goal is to turn that client into what I call a brand fan, B-R-A-N-D, a brand fan. Make no mistake, your business is a brand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And how you operate your business is perceived as your brand. All right. So we need to make people a brand fan. And I always tell this story, and I know Brandon's got as many stories. I'm going to shut up and let him tell something. He got a bunch of things to tell you. But this is the scenario I want to happen with your brand fan. So they're sitting at the lunch table in their office, you know, at work. And one of their buddies comes in and says, "Hey, the wife and I found a home that we really loved over the weekend. We've been looking and, you know, we hadn't been able to get one. We've been knocked off 3 or 4 deals and been very frustrated. But now we found one we really like and we got it under contract, finally." And you know what your brand fan should say? "I got the perfect home inspector for you." You know that you have a brand fan when people say that. And you already told me that people are referring you to others now. Why? Why? Only you know that. I don't know it. But you need to think through that. Why are the people that are giving me referrals, why are they doing it? What did I do differently to them than I've done to others? Okay, so that's it. So Brandon, let's talk about what you're doing. I mean, I don't know if you got a loyalty program in or not, or thinking about it, or.
No, not necessarily. You know, a few ideas come to mind as we're kind of thinking through this. And obviously, you know that we've been working really hard with Beth on our trusted vendor program, right? You could probably find ways to implement or get those into that program so that our vendors that we trust, you know, have now maybe it's an offer or something special to our referral people, prior clients and whatnot. But in terms of creating a brand, I mean, it's really something that you have to be intentional about, when I come on here and I say, we get 45 to 50% of our customers give us a 5-star review. That's intentional. We've thought through the process. We've implemented a system and we execute it consistently. And that key word there is consistently, is so important that you continue to follow through and you make sure that you have time to do that, whether that's you as the business owner or you delegate it to someone else in your team or outsource it somehow. And it's the same thing. It's going above and beyond, it's kind of a cliched term, but above and beyond so that experience is, 5-star, it's elite, it's memorable to the client. And so that they, when they're having that conversation, they're out for dinner and they're talking to their buddy and they're like, hey, I'm buying a house. The first thing that comes to my mind is, hey, this home inspector was amazing for us. And so really, I think that's kind of the key concept here in this whole conversation is how do we turn that customer into a brand fan, like you're saying. And these are obviously some tools that we can use to make sure that we do that. But ultimately, it comes down to the full experience that they have. And so especially when we do our marketing, whether we're talking to an agent or a customer online, we talk about the experience that they want to have with us. It's so that they feel like when it's their time for their inspection, they're the most important thing to us.
Brandon really nailed it on this. Your home inspection really needs to be an experience, and it needs to be a positive experience. So let's think about this. Has anybody ever had clients that didn't show up for the inspection? They lived out of town or they just couldn't make it that day, or anybody have that?
All the time.
So what we did is this. We got a program, and it used to be called Screencast-O-Matic. Now it's called Dale, tell me if I'm wrong. ScreenPal, is that the name of it now?
ScreenPal, yeah.
ScreenPal. So
Yes.
what we would do is, we do a wrap up at the end with the client. And so we would just turn our recorder on and we would talk to the recorder, the computer, as if the client was there. And so then what they do, they would have a complete wrap up by us on video. And they would send that then to their parents or their brothers or sisters or whatever. And that was hugely received. And when we did that in Atlanta and opened that up, that made a drastic difference in the number of accounts we got. The agents loved it. The clients loved it. It was a very big thing. So ScreenPal is even better than Screencast-O-Matic. They have their own little hosting thing. It's a few bucks a year. I mean, a few bucks. But what happens is you could make the video there. You don't have to go to YouTube or anything. You can host the video right there with their cheap hosting. I mean, it's just the whole thing is basically free, relatively speaking. And then what happens is you can produce the video, you have a link, include that in the report, and what happened, or in the email to them, and they can watch the video. Now you have to decide. Coach William, one of our great friends, he would always run through a series of photos. That would make me insane. That would not be my preferred style. We never did that. But whatever you do when you're talking to the client, when the client's there, that's what we did there at ours. And every one of our guys did it and we're very good at it. I mean, you don't have to be, you're not in front. Keith came through. He busted a move on that thing. That camera has killed Keith the whole call.
It has.
Got it.
It has. Have you been talking all this time, Ken?
No. So what happens is our inspectors did that for each of our clients who weren't there. So please, ScreenPal, go take a quick look at it not after the call and see how could I use that? How can I employ that in making the experience better for clients that can't show up? Okay, because that's the thing. How many of you, please tell me you don't do this, but how many of you know an inspector that says, I don't want the client to come to the inspection until the wrap up because they're annoying. They take too much time and they ask me too many questions. Okay, please. Okay.
We picked up so much business because we invite the client.
We demanded it. I mean, we basically demanded you show up.
Yeah.
So the fact of the matter is building a brand fan when the client isn't there is hard. I know that every one of the people that do that are going to go out of business, and I'm going to applaud because that customer is your lifeline for a consistent stream of income. And what you're telling them is you don't value them. You're not willing to take time during the inspection to talk to them, that kind of thing. That's a terrible experience. And when you look at callbacks, you look at the percentage of callbacks that come from clients that aren't there at the inspection as opposed to those are there, it's tremendously different. Because, oh, Miss Jones said, oh, Ken, he told me when we were in that garage, there's all kind of stuff here in the wall. And if that electrical outlet behind the wall ain't working, we couldn't test it. And when they came back and did the walkthrough, the damn thing didn't work. And guess what? She said, Ken told me that might happen. You know what? She wasn't mad at old Ken. So the fact of the matter is get your customer there and love on them the whole time. Now, we used to do a driveway presentation, everybody's gotten away from it mostly, but we did it and we said, here's what we're going to do today. So we set the expectations. We said, we walk, talk, and chew gum. However, let me share this with you. If you're in the basement and I'm in the kitchen and you want me to see something, please just write it down. And if you don't have anything to write it down, I got a notepad and a pen for you right here. Because if I go from the kitchen to the basement and then back to the kitchen, I'm going to be out of my routine. And you know what, Mr. Client, I might miss something. So let me ask you this. Do you really want me to miss something? He's like, oh, no, I don't want you. And I say, okay, well, good. I'll tell you, I got a routine I'm going to go through. I'm going to answer every one of your questions. So when we get down that basement, we're going to get right on that. And they say, okay, so sometimes you got this engineer and he just won't quit. He just won't keeps on. I said, sir, remember I mentioned 3 times previously that if you don't want me to miss anything, I need to kind of stay in this routine. So if you just write it down and that's it. Okay. And then if they just persist, I just say, I can't do it at this moment. I try to be polite, but you get that rare bird that wants to be a butthead. You just have to be stern because this is the Ken Compton show for 3.5 hours. And I'm leading the band and they know it. Okay. So I can gently and nicely say to ease back. Okay. You need to learn that. You need to manage the whole process, the clients, the agents, everybody. It's your show. Okay. But when you get in there, love on these clients. I got this couple from New York that came in. I personally did their inspection. And you guys don't know my story, but I built a business. I was not a home inspector for the first 5 years. And we were huge. Multi-inspector firm started from day one that way. So, but I'm a business person and a marketer. But what happened was they came in there and I tell you, I took them by the hand and just led them through everything. And I said, I bet y'all are nervous today. First time home buyer. And they said, we're nervous. And I said, well, here's how we're going to operate. I'm going to tell you a lot of things and I don't want you to freak out. But what I'm going to do is if I stop and raise my hand, that means I have something important that I really want to share with you. So I'm not just sharing general information. I'm going to tell you something you need to know. And so at the end of it, I said, did you feel better? And they said, we felt great. And you know what? They probably referred me 15 people from New York that moved down there. Okay. I mean, it's just getting your clients in there and treating them the way they want to be treated. You've created an experience for them. Okay. And you know what happens is they refer you like crazy. Okay. So you can chase new business all day long, or you can kind of work for the people that know you, like, and trust you already. I don't know what you guys are going to do. Okay.
Take action.
Anybody? Yeah. Thoughts on anybody? Questions? Concerns? Comments? I'll be out of the box on you, Sam. Listen, man, I'm a marketer, bro. That's it. I'll do some things that are crazy sometimes. People think, oh, we can't do that, but you know what? They're doing it successfully today. So that's it. Okay, let's just see what else we got on here. A loyalty program is critical. Think through what you could do for a loyalty program. How would we manage it? Hopefully you're using the ISN or one of these others that can tell you, where it comes from. And hopefully to goodness, when you answer that phone, whoever answers the phone of your firm is asking you, how did you hear about our firm? Oh, I got a referral from one of your prior clients. And we said, you know what? Well, thank you to them and thank you to you. So we appreciate you calling. So before I do go any further, I'd like to know who that person was so that we could thank them personally. And then they would give us their name and then we would write that down. And of course, then we would thank them personally. So you have to know who's referred you to be able to keep the program consistent, because not everybody calls up and says, and if you don't ask, they won't tell you, hey, that's it. One of the other things, Brandon, I noticed, and I know that you've noticed it too, is when a brand fan gives their buddy our name, the first thing they ask is, how quickly can you get out here? But somebody that's cold to you that you don't know that found you on the internet or whatever, what's the first thing to ask you? How much does a home inspection cost? How much you
Yeah.
charge? Do you guys ever see that?
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, I answered the phone 1,000 times when we started our firm just to see what people were saying. And you know, that's it. How much does a home inspection cost? I could tell where they came from almost instantly. Yellow pages, which we don't have today, but in the old days, I started a long time ago. And yet, yellow pages, you know, they wanted how much? How much? You were a commodity. You're still a commodity.
Mhm.
Okay, to cold list. That's why people say, should I advertise on Google Guaranteed? Why? Okay, you're to them, you're a Toyota, and you know, and a home inspector, a Toyota is a Toyota, right? All home inspectors are the same. We have a regulated state, got to be the same, right? They're not thinking quality varies greatly.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a few people that I know that are the biggest idiots in the world. Guess what? They can pass any test. I don't want them serving me or my family. Okay, so just because you can pass a test doesn't make you a great home inspector. Okay,
Well,
so the quality does vary greatly, but how much does it cost?
yeah, one thing I've noticed too is, especially with our referrals from prior clients, you know, the prior client has already talked us up big time to the referral, right? And typically we see that it's a lot easier to, you know, get that referral to, you know, buy into our premium package, our 5-star package.
That's right. That is exactly right. So I'm going to get off this slide for a minute, but one of the things about it, and Brandon mentioned it a minute ago, and it's a very valid thing, and that is when you have your preferred or a vendor program set up, people that you know, like, and trust that really help you. And we did it in Atlanta for many, many years. We did that. And what happens is your preferred vendors can then offer exclusive pricing to your prior clients.
Mhm.
So your prior clients would get better pricing when they use those vendors than the average citizen would get. So, and when you talk to your partner or your preferred vendors, what happens is when they make those offers, they have somebody that's talked them up. These aren't cold leads. You know what I'm saying? They came from Brandon or Keith or Sam. You know what I'm saying? These people already know, like, and trust you, and you've made the referral. Okay. So it's not like they're getting a cold lead. So that's really a very, very powerful tool for part of your incentive program. So, you know, you get, you know, premium pricing at this. And I think in your newsletter, if your partner or preferred vendors are not making offers to your clients, then a shame, because your clients need their services. So I know, Brandon, if you lived here and you had an electrician on your site, I would do it, because in our master bedroom, bathroom, ensuite, one of the GFCI continues to go off.
Mhm.
And what happens? I want somebody to come out and look at it, but we don't know anybody. So you know what I got to do? I got to go to next door, log on and try to find my neighbors, who they use, you know, and that's a hit or a miss.
Yeah.
Okay. So what about, think about your HVAC contractor. Could he offer a free service? Could he offer this or that or the other? They oftentimes do it to get new business.
Oh,
Okay, that would
man.
be something you could do.
We Beth and I have brainstormed this a ton too, and you know, we want to offer our prior clients or our clients, you know, a free, you know, lawn care or you know, pest control service, you know, something like that, to you know, obviously that pest control company, they want to have that lead, and so offering them a free service would be a great benefit to them, obviously. You know, we also talked about this morning, you know, we're a cold winter area. So the sprinkler system, you got to blow them all out so you don't get frozen pipes in the wintertime. So there's obviously a seasonal coupon to send out to your prior clients for you know, a blowout. I mean, we've lived here for 5 years and don't really have like a go-to blowout company until now. We've got a trusted vendor that we've contacted, and they do it. They're going to be our guy. And you know, that's just some kind of a service that not a lot of folks know who to go to, right? So offering those special offers and discounts, incentives to your prior clients, again, is just another added value.
So we'll take an example of Gary Sloan, one of our clients for years and years. He sold his firm now, but what he did was he had a partnership with or a preferred vendor that was a lawn care guy, and the guy would come out and cut your grass one time for free. Well, he called up Gary and said, "Listen, man, I got to stop being a preferred vendor on your list." And Gary said, "Well, how come?" And he said, "Because we are slam full with a waiting list." Okay, so he got another vendor that did it, filled in for him. But the companies love to do it because it gives them new clients that are not cold leads. Think
Mhm.
about this. How about if you got a Molly Care or some kind of, a Molly Maid or some kind of a franchise like that? You got a franchisee in there. Okay, and that franchisee needs to do business. Well, they'll come out and do a cleaning half price to see if you, and all it is a test. Customer loves it. Next thing you know, they're a customer of the Molly Maid or whoever the franchise is. I mean, if you stop and think for a minute, how about you got the Goodyear dealer up here on the corner? You're friends with him, old Jim. He's a great guy. He's in the civic clubs with you, this, that, and the other, and he'll offer a free tire rotation. Okay, when you start thinking about what you can offer your prior clients, it just isn't home inspection items, right?
Yeah.
I mean, why wouldn't you offer them value added services for other things? Okay, your partner vendors love you. And so what do you get from your partner vendors? Now what happens is because you're doing videos with them and other things, and this isn't a partner vendor call, but what happens is they extend your reach. Now you're on their websites, and people that learn about your home inspection firm would never know about you because now you're on their website as well. So you've extended your reach tremendously. So we'll do partner vendor program a bit later, but so back to the incentives, think of these are things that you can give to your clients and through newsletters or emails or whatever. So think outside the box and what you can offer. Let's see what else. I got a couple other things and we talk about. Okay, so 2 common pitfalls I think of your loyalty program. I'm going to move this up here for a minute. Insufficient incentives. And I think what we're talking about is, well, I think we're really just talking about that now, right? I mean, you got to think through before you start the loyalty program, what kind of things are you going to offer? Because if you don't, guess what happens pretty quick? You run out of things and that's not good. So you should plan your incentive program 12 months in advance. Okay. And then what happens is you can make changes anytime you want because you're not publishing that schedule. But let's say that Jim at the Goodyear dealer says we're so slammed during October that we can't, because the snowbirds have come to Florida, that we can't do the tire rotation. Okay, so you substitute him out for his slowest time of the year. So, insufficient incentives is one of the things that kills the loyalty programs. And the second thing that kills them, really, I think I got another one here. I said, you make the program too damn hard. Okay, let's just make it clearly outline what it is that, and I think that what happens is home inspectors in many cases, and please no, it's just not home inspectors, it's other small business owners. You guys are no different from them. I talked to them too, and good gosh, they're not thinking this way. But what happens? You fail to promote it. I mean, if every time you go to a home inspection and you have a satisfied customer and you thank them and say, you know what, we really love you and we really want to build a relationship with you, and so that you can, you be willing to use our services again and refer us to others, your friends and family. And we have a little loyalty, VIP loyalty program. And I'm just going to send you a note in the email. As a matter of fact, I put a paper copy in the package that I gave you. I'm going to send you a little note, a reminder. Here's what it's about. Come on, take a quick look at it. And I'll send you some follow-ups. But what happens is we want you to be able to be rewarded for the things that you do for us and as a thank you. And so if you have a multi-inspector firm, and that's what I was saying, Sam, earlier, sometimes they don't always do it. Okay, so compliance with what you want. I have consulted with hundreds of firms where I call the prisoners run the prison. You know what I'm saying? The home inspectors are doing whatever they want, and instead of what the owner wants. So so the first thing I go in there and say is, that ain't gonna work out so well. So you got to promote it, and so what you need to do is, what is my promotion program? Do any of you use a mind map? Anybody use a mind map? Okay, not many people use a mind map. I'm a big mind mapper. Brandon, you still use a mind map?
Every now and again, yeah.
Okay. So what a mind map is, it allows you to think through issues before you launch off on a program. So what are the things I'm going to run into, the stumbling blocks or whatever. So it lets you lay everything out. You think through it. I used to do it in paper. Now they have a computer program. I use MindMeister, but it's a few bucks a year. But they have a million programs if you'd rather do it online. I do because yeah, I would just erase on the pencil, you know, and all that, and, you know, on the paper, and it'd have a big hole in it after a while. But this allows you to pull different things. But I want to know, like when we do a workshop, you know, I mind map everything from what is the food and who are the speakers and how are we going to sell the tickets and what accommodations do we have, everything that involved in that program. And so in the incentive program, what you have to do is go and say, what are we going to offer? How are we going to promote it? When would they get it? What are the rules?
Yeah.
So you'd lay all that out on a mind map. And when you see that and you're happy with that, then you start putting the program together. But you can think, well, you know, I forgot all about that. When you fill out a mind map and you look at it and say, well, I wasn't even thinking about that. Let me add that. Okay, so a mind map is it's a brainstorming tool, if I had to describe it like that. It's a brainstorming tool. So if you're not accustomed to it, go to the internet, search it, look it up. If you're a client of ours, I know that you're familiar with it. So we do it all the time. So lack of promotion is the other thing that I see. I think that was all the talking points I had. It was. So how about other things that you guys might have that you want to talk about? Anything? Come on. I've never known Keith to be shy. Now he's on camera. He ain't gonna say anything.
We came up with a
Just waiting. I'm just waiting.
Go ahead, Sam.
we came up with a checklist for a walkthrough inspection for the client
Uh-huh.
to do their walkthrough prior to closing, like, you know, the day of the closing.
Uh-huh.
Check your, you know, look at the ceilings, look for moisture stains, bring a pair of binoculars, look at your roof, look for any missing shingles, you know, simple stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Look for, you know, turn everything on, you know, turn the AC on, make sure it works, or the heat, you know, if it's that time of the year. If there was any issues that the seller had said they would fix, you know, we'd give them a list of that to check those. And to be honest with you, I don't know who's using it. I know we hand it out, but we were hoping that people would. It's another way of people, remembering who their home inspection company was.
Absolutely. So one of the things that we use prior clients for is feedback. So the fact of the matter is, I would just call up a couple of prior clients and whoever did the inspection and just say, hey, just checking in with you, make sure everything went fine. I'm sure you got closed by now. And I just wanted to find out, was that checklist that we gave you for the walkthrough helpful at all?
Yeah.
Just ask them. I mean, you know what? Here's the thing. I will say to home inspectors, do you market your prior clients? And you know what they say to me? No. And I'll say, well, how come? And they say, because I'm afraid they're going to be mad at me about something that happened at the inspection. And I'm like, are you serious? Did you just say that to me? So anyway, so my response always is, the fact of the matter is that this is an opportunity to right any wrongs. So you care about your customer. And if there's something didn't go right, then what happens? You want to know about it and see what you can do about it. And not everybody wants money or anything like that from you. I mean, you know, I just didn't know this or didn't know that. What can you learn? How can you improve your brand? Okay, so nine times out of 10, home inspectors do great jobs, more than 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
So the rarity, I mean, you guys are all trained and really good at this. You wouldn't be on this call if you weren't. And the fact of the matter is that I have no fear of my prior clients. I love them. And if something's not right, I want to know it and I'm gonna fix it. So you get an opportunity then to turn them into an ultimate brand fan. So I would just ask for feedback. One of the things that really bummed me on a multi-inspector firm was that we had this coupon that we left and a little note that said, hey, you know, we set everything back, blah, blah, blah. And oh, by the way, if you're moving within 50 miles, what we'd love to do is help you buy your new home. When you buy it, we'd love to be your inspector. And here's a discount coupon for you to use it. Well, when I'd go in after the inspectors, you know, I'd just pop in. They wouldn't know when I was coming. And half of them didn't leave it. Okay, so we saw a significant drop in that business, that revenue stream when they weren't doing it. Then I'd have to pitch a fit, and then they do it again. And then when I got the thumb off the back of their neck, they stopped doing it, and the revenue dropped down from it. And I'm tracking it, so I see it's not happening. Okay, so you know, I'm saying sometimes your employees are or your team members aren't always as faithful as the owner about doing some of these things.
Yeah.
Correct.
So you got to stay on them, and it's asking for referrals and, you know, feedback and introducing the loyalty program at the end of the inspection when they're the happiest. about what you've done. So, so that's the thing. And we could talk a lot about, and maybe we have a meeting about, talking about this, but, how is it that you create your experience with brand new buyers? And how do you create that wonderful experience when you have move up buyers or buyers who are very seasoned like myself? I want to, sometimes I want to follow the home inspector around. I'd pay a home inspector to come and do my own home inspections. So, I want to, talk to them about it. I don't want to get in their way, but the fact of the matter is I do want to see what they're doing and talk with them about it. So, some people do, some people don't. So how to read people, that kind of thing to make that experience and increase your brand fans.
With the client.
Mind if I ask a question?
Sure.
So, I was thinking, like, to us, it's a job. We go out, we do it. And I think that in some ways, we kind of take for granted sometimes that the whole situation, right? So I was thinking, how the hell do we, excuse my language, how do we make it so that it's an event for the client? Because think about it, it's an experience for them, right? They're nervous, they're
Excited.
Excited. A lot of moving parts. They're moving their whole family. They're thinking about schools. It's like it's an event for them.
Mm-hmm.
How do we, how do we make it memorable so that they remember that we did that inspection?
Right. So it starts with setting expectations. I think, Brandon, you may have a different rule, but I mean, one of the things you need to ask when somebody calls in to schedule inspection, you need to find out, are they a first-time home buyer, move-up buyer, seasoned buyer? Because what happens is the way you customize your approach to those different groups are very different. Sometimes we have clients that even ask what they do for a living. Okay, if they're an attorney or an engineer, they have certain behavior patterns. So let's just take Sam, a first-time home buyer. When I come in, the first thing I say, who's nervous? And they're like, they all raise their hand. I say, I get it. First time I bought them, I was nervous too. I bet you're nervous. So here, I'm gonna try to help you not be nervous. So, and this is how I'm gonna do it. And so that I do the raise my hand thing and this, that, and the other. But intermediate home buyer, I try to give them, I try to build relationships. I'd come home and I would say to Beth, I met some of the most fascinating people today. And I would tell her all these things about the people. And she said, how do you know all this stuff? And I said, because I talk to my clients. You know what? I can walk, talk, and chew gum. My job is to do a great inspection to the standards of practice and also build a very positive relationship. So when they leave, so I'm eating at and Kip may know this one. I'm up there in Woodstock at the Honey Baked Ham store, and I've come out from lunch, and it's kind of a shopping center place. And somebody said, "Oh, there's Ken, our home inspector." And the only thing I thought is, I hope to hell they say their name, because you know how many people I've served. So they did, and they came up and they just loved on me, and I'm like, my face got red. How nice they were.
How's
But
that
Give them
possible?
that wow factor during the
it was the wow factor. I try to give them the wow factor, and I go in, I'm fun and funny. I had this lady ask me one day, this black lady, she said, Ken, are you a home inspector or a comedian? I said, girlfriend, I am some of both. I try to really just get them energized and make them part of the inspection if they want to be. There's people that don't. You read that in the first 5 minutes. There's a great book called The First 5 Minutes. And what that premise of that book is, you'll be able to observe nonverbal communication of the people and understand them. 80% of communication is nonverbal. Okay, you can really hone in on that and figure out who they are and what they want, how you can deal with them. And I'm an expert at that. So I'm going to give you the experience that you want, whether you're a move-up buyer or you're a first-time buyer or you're a seasoned buyer. I'll often ask, hey, what do you do for a living? And then they'll talk to me about it. And then I'll say, that's awesome. And then I'll learn a little bit about it. All I'm doing, I already know all about it, but I'm asking them questions and then building that relationship. You may have gone to a party a time or two and somebody's talking to you, and you really just comment on it. Yeah, that's cool and all that. And when they leave, they tell their spouse or their significant other that they met this coolest person to place. It was Sam. And with Sam, you didn't say much. You know what? You just listened. People like to talk. So I try to get them to open up and tell me stuff. That's how I know all about people. I try to lead them to an open. Because you know what happens? I know the average transaction value and the lifetime value of a prior client is huge. Why would I spend 5 times more money to chase one-offs when I got people that know me, like me, and trust me? Thousands of them. So I just don't do it. I'm not saying I'm not after new business, because I am, but I'm after the prior client relationship. They already know me, like me, and trust me. What more do I need? They know I'm a good guy. Some of them think I'm weird, but
I would add a couple things to that too, and 100% agree with you, Ken. Someone, I didn't see who it was, but someone said the wow factor, right? And again, that goes back to, for me at least, the experience that they have with our company, and it's beyond just like the 2 or 3 hours of doing the home inspection. It's also that first point of contact. What's their experience there, and then the follow up also. And here's a perfect example. Just like last month, so I guess now it's July. We had one of our gals. She does our marketing. We had her call, do mystery shopping to some of our local inspector competition here in town. I don't know if I told this story last week or not, but we did that, and she took some notes on all the calls and gave a little presentation to me and Jody, who does our scheduling. And most of them, it was like probably 10 calls she made. Most of them, it was the inspector who answered the phone. He was really quick, had a really complicated fee structure. And you could tell that he just was in a hurry because he was maybe on an inspection. And then you compare that with Jody, who answers our calls. She's professional. She's always there. She'll take the time to talk to them, answer their questions. She does a great job of upselling. She gets named in our 5-star reviews all the time. And she was the first point of contact, right? So that's part of the experience. And then Sam, for you talked about maybe potentially following up with clients after the inspection. I'm doing all those calls. And I said that it takes me an hour or 2 every week to do that, just to make those calls. We text them out a review link on top of that. And again, like I often get, I haven't been involved with the inspection. I didn't do the inspection. I didn't answer the phone. All I did was, my only contact with the client in that case was just that one phone call after the inspection. And oftentimes I'll get named in the review as well, just because, I did the follow-up call and they were so impressed with that. The business owner actually took the time to call them up. Yeah. And so again, it just goes back to that whole experience and making them feel like they're so important and the only client we had that day. And with that, I'm going to hop off here in a sec, Ken, but that was my 2 cents.
Sure. I'm going to say one other thing too, is that, and Brandon, I know you got to get to that, the first time home buyer seminar, so you can go ahead and do that. But if you're in a position, do it, Sam, and others, in a multi-inspector firm, I would just show up out at the inspection. The inspector would never know when I was coming. I'd introduce myself to the client, say I'm Ken, president of Southern Home Inspection Services, and I'm just doing a quality control check to make sure everything's going the way we want it to go for you, so that you have a great experience. And I'll ask them a couple little questions. Did your inspector do a introduction with you on the driveway? And did you get the information you need? Did you know what was going to happen today? Or I'd be in there and I'd listen to the wrap up of the inspector to make sure that they're doing it. And like Brandon said, there's a lot of times I was in a review. Damn, the home inspector president of the company showed up on the inspection for a QC check. So, I was always friendly and nice, and, I would never, ever say anything to the inspector, even if he's not doing something right, I would never say something in front of the customer. But it's important for me to know that, you got 13 guys going full time, and, not everything's going to be perfect. I want to see it myself. So that's very impressive to the customer. That's part of the experience that we provided as well. Lots of little things you can do, lots of little things. All right, other questions? Anybody got anything else, Keith? I've never heard you this quiet.
Yeah, I'm quiet today.
He got the camera on, man. He's afraid to say anything now because we'll see him.
I had a camera last time, Ken.
Oh, yeah, it was a phone, though. It was small. All right, everybody. Well, listen, we're going to say goodbye to you. Thank you very much for being on the call. We appreciate it. You can come back to Home Inspector Huddle and you can listen to this call in the next day or so. And the others, I think that staff already has them up. Dill, you guys, team members got them up. Dill is our general manager, so he handles all of those details, not me. So he gets all the calls up for everybody.
Thanks for your time, Ken.
Thank you, Ken.
guys.
Hey, thank you, Ken.
You are welcome, folks. So
Thank
we'll
you, Ken.
see you next
Good.
week. We'll have another exciting topic on open mic.
Let's do it.
All
Good
right,
seeing
guys.
everyone. Have a good evening.
Kip, it is great to
Yeah.
see you, man.
Yeah.
It is great to see you. I hadn't seen Kip in a month of Sundays, so that's good to see you.
Great seeing y'all. Thank you.
All right.
Take
Have a
care.
great week, everybody.